Hello everyone, good evening. Charlotte here from Enriching Environments, and this evening we are talking about praise. I'll just give you a few moments to assemble yourselves to get ready. Hi Adela, good to see you again. Good evening. Thank you so much for coming to the event on Friday, Adela. It was great to see you. And it was your questions, actually, on Friday that prompted me to have this Instagram Live and actually to cover the whole topic of praise this week, because when we were speaking about it on Friday at the event, I thought to myself, I don't really have a concise way of actually going through these points and explaining this. So I thought this would really focus me to consolidate everything into a couple of posts and into this Instagram Live, and then I can answer hopefully everything fully. So I think we can begin. And as per my post that I put on Sunday, we talked about praise and further to our conversation on Friday, and praise and why praise is not actually desirable. We really think, and this is the first point I've put actually in my notes, we really think that by praising a child and the good job and the well done and you're so clever and you're a good girl or a good boy, we really think that it seems to be beneficial, doesn't it? It really does seem to be beneficial. Firstly, we're being nice to them. You know, we are being kind to our children. We're being nice to our children. We're lifting them up. It feels like we're lifting them up. And particularly, as we discussed on Friday evening, if we've come from a family that is very punitive, it's very much, we've come from a family, a generation of children should be seen and not heard, which is certainly the background that I came from. And obedience was prized above everything else. So if we've come from that generation, if we've come from that background or culture or family, whatever it is, then it really can seem that because we want to do things so radically different when we have our children, it feels as if doing the complete opposite of this punishment and this scolding, the opposite of that is giving praise and rewards, and then later on rewards. And so it can feel as if we're doing the right thing because we are being positive, and children like it as well, as we discussed on Friday. Children like it, they seem to respond well to it. So we think that we feel great and our children feel great. And as we said, it works, you know, you see the big smile on their face, and you see that they are responding to it well. And then as they grow older, you can see that actually, and this is where it goes a bit wrong, this is where it goes a bit off course, we can see that actually through praise, we can manipulate our children. Through praise, we can get them to do things that we want them to do, because they are so keen to please. They are so eager to please with every single fibre of their body. They want to please us. This is natural because we are their parents, and their very existence, their attachment, their bonding, they completely and utterly depend on us for love and security and shelter. But the most important thing of that is love. They depend on us absolutely. So they want to seek our approval. They need to seek our approval. They need our validation because they need our love. Without love, children do not thrive. So the fact that they're doing what we want them to do through essentially manipulation, through this control, is not something to be shouting about. It's not actually a great thing at all. We want to build a collaboration. Collaboration is what all about parenting and childhood is about. Being parents and having children is all about. And when we start moving into the realm of praise and rewards, then we're moving into away from a collaboration and more, I don't know, a dictatorship is probably a bit too strong a word. I can't think of the right word. right now, but it's a collaboration that we're seeking to create. And through collaboration is where we build and strengthen this connection that we were just talking about, building this bond of love and trust and safety and security. And that's really what we're looking for. So praise and, as I said later, rewards. It's conditional. You know, if we're saying that they are a good girl or a good boy or well done or good job or what have you, then we're making a judgment on them. And our love, it could be unintentional. You know, I'm not saying that we're doing this out of from a bad place. We're doing this from a place of love, but it's still a manipulation when we are saying good girl or you're so amazing and all of these things. It's more about our needs than about what our children's needs are. What our children need is to be seen and to be validated and to feel appreciated. And what we can talk about now, what we'll talk about later, is how we can do that. We can give them that validation. We can help them to feel acknowledged and to feel seen without praising, because praising is just, you behave like this and I'm going to give you, it's conditional love. You behave in this way and I'm going to praise you, or I'm going to give you this reward, this sticker or this chocolate or what have you. As I said before, it feels like it's beneficial because it's working for everyone. But let's go into, I've got a few more points to talk through on this. Let's go into, I guess, the background, you know, where this comes from, and the background of why it isn't ideal. One moment, I'm just going to have some water. What's really interesting about praise and rewards is on the research that's been done, the studies that have been done in our culture, and we discussed this on Friday evening, in maybe this type of, I guess, cheerleading culture has really only been around for maybe 20, 30 years. Before that, it was very much the children should be seen and not heard, and everyone has realised that punitive style of parenting, of the constant punishment and scolding and you're bad and, you know, withdrawing love when our children do something wrong. We've all seen that does not make for a more peaceful world. It does not make for a secure world. It does not make for a joyful or harmonious world. So we all agree we don't want to go down there. And then the other end of the spectrum is rewards and praise. And we don't want to go down there either, because the research has shown that actually the more that we start doing this, once we get onto this, let's call it a hamster wheel of giving praise and rewards, the more that the children need, it's, I guess we can say it's like an addiction. The rewards need to get bigger, the praise needs to get bigger, there needs to be more and more for the child to carry on, to want to comply with what we want them to do. And then we're looking at, then when we get to older children, what's really interesting is studies done on teenagers, is then when the praise or the rewards are withdrawn, then children actually give up effort. They completely withdraw the effort because their interest has waned, because they're waiting for this carrot. And in my Instagram post, I called it the poison carrot, and that's what it is. It's the children, they lose perseverance, they lose they feel crushed, their confidence is crushed because they've had all of their self-confidence and their praise and their belief in themselves put on them externally as an extrinsic reward for a period of time. And now when that's not forthcoming anymore, of course their confidence was tied up in someone else's judgment of them, so they don't have that inner resilience, inner strength, they don't have that inner self-confidence. So that's sort of a longer term picture of praise and rewards. One, it needs to get bigger and bigger and bigger and more amazing, and you're going to need more superlatives to explain to your child how amazing they are. And then if we go down into the rewards, I don't know, say you start off with stickers, for example, and then you're going to move into a chocolate coin, and then you're going to move into whatever, and in order for them to comply with your wishes, you're going to need to have these bigger and bigger and bigger rewards. So those are two interesting points. And the third point I want to talk about regarding the research that's been done is that the reward system actually, in terms of a classroom environment where there's, rewards and competition, who's the best at stuff, that is incredibly damaging, because then people are competing against each other instead of actually competing with them. Not competing isn't the right word. Instead of wanting to be the best they can be and do the best they can, they're competing with others, which again is, as we see from history and from our present day, competing with each other is the start of a war, basically, isn't it? That's what it is. So we want them to focus on intrinsic worth, and longer term studies have shown that with older children and with teenagers, then creativity is actually suppressed and results become worse in a praise and reward led environment, because children, they end up, how do I explain it, doing the bare minimum, doing the absolute minimum in order to receive the reward. So they're going to receive, I don't know, a gold star, or it might be a monetary gain, or I don't know if you can go on this play date if you behave in this certain way. Then they do the bare minimum in order to scrape by to get the reward, rather than that sense coming from them they want to do their best on this test, or this, I don't know, music lesson, or this football game, or whatever it might be. So it actually dumbs down our children in the longer term, because all they feel that they need this addiction, they need this hit of the praise or the reward. Please do jump in with any questions if you have them at any time. Don't worry about disturbing me full flow. If I lose my train, I lose my train, but do jump in if you have any questions. And then interestingly, we move into the question of our children are going to be the next generation of people in the working world, the entrepreneurs, or maybe working for a company, or whatever their situation is going to be. And then when we have children who've grown up in a culture, a society, a family, a community where everything is praise and reward led, then there comes with that such a sense of entitlement. So when children go to university or don't go to university, when they get first into the workplace, they're going to need a lot of bolstering. They're going to need a lot of external praise and reward just to do their normal job. And this is really creating a sense of entitlement and privilege, when what we really want to work towards is, as I said before, a more peaceful and a more harmonious society, something where we're all working together. We're working together for the greater good. We're working to be the best in ourselves so we can work towards the greater good. We don't need someone patting us on the back the whole time for everything that we do. And as we spoke about on Friday, and this really resonates with me, because coming from an upbringing where it was very much children should be seen and not heard, and it was, don't do that, that's naughty and bad girl and all of that stuff. I learned to be very quiet so that I wouldn't, so that I would get the praise. And as an adult, it's something I've struggled with, that need for validation, that need for someone to praise my work, whether it's with enriching environments or in other scenarios, and in relationships as well. We carry all of this stuff into our relationships with friends, with a partner, and of course our relationship with our children. So it's finding a different path, and let's see if we can find that different path together. Let me give this a sip of water. Just move my bullet points. There we go. Here we go. Prolific Taco, thank you for your question. So if you've got a child that's never been motivated by external rewards, I guess that's a good thing. Yes, that's great. Yeah, definitely. And I would see in my two children, they're very, very different. Like, my daughter is like not really bothered by praise. You know, if other people, I don't know, in the playground or in a scenario praise her, she's not really that bothered. But my son is really, really sensitive to it. And if, I don't know, we're out in the playground, someone says, oh, you're a good boy or something, you know, you can like see him quivering. So I can see that validation is really important to him. So it will vary child to child. But yeah, if you've got a child who just isn't motivated at all by external rewards, it's great, because then that gives you this blank canvas of, okay, how can I connect with my child that helps them build that inner sense of self-worth. In one of the nurseries I worked in when I was doing my teaching practice in London, it was so great. There was this, I think they were doing ballet, or the children were all doing ballet, and it was a group, and it was very adult led, so it wasn't sort of ideal, the scenario. But I remember at the end, the teacher gave everyone a sticker and said, oh, you've all been so good, and you've been so quiet, and you've been, you know, it was all, you know, controlling their behaviour, praise. And then, and she went round, she said, oh, you can all have a sticker because you've been so good. I remember this one little boy, she was trying to give him the sticker, and he kept on moving away. He didn't say anything, he kept on moving away, and the teacher said, oh, why didn't you want a sticker? You've been such a good boy. And and the little boy turned around and said, I don't want a sticker, I don't need a sticker. And he was, 4 years old? But I was just in the background thinking, that is so amazing. He doesn't care about the sticker. Even though this praise was being showered on all of the children and him. And I was like, that's so awesome. So yeah, if they're not motivated by external rewards, and even if they are motivated by external rewards, it's just our opportunity to think, okay, how can we connect differently? And of course, we all want, the way I see it is we all want appreciation, and we all want acknowledgement for our efforts, and we all want validation, and there's nothing wrong with that. However, the first thing I guess for us to have a little rummage around is that if our knee-jerk reaction is to praise and say, well done, and good boy, you've been so quiet, or whatever that might be, is to just quickly look at ourselves and think, okay, firstly, where does that come from, that knee-jerk reaction to praise when we think that something has been acceptable behaviour, socially acceptable behaviour, what it might be. So it's interesting to see where that comes from. It's interesting to note in ourselves if there's times where we are praising to manipulate a situation. And I don't mean it as in a sinister way as that sounds, but it's very much like, are we saying, well done, so they just hurry up and get out the door? Or are we saying, well done, because we want to carry on with what we're doing, instead of engaging in a conversation? You know, is the praise a quick fix? Are we using it to manipulate? Are we using it as a quick fix because we want to just carry on with what we're doing? And we all do it. I'm not saying that we're perfect. We are all going to do it in some situations, and we're all going to get it wrong sometimes. That's what it's part of being human, isn't it? But it's just having a quick look, just a quick rummage around, as I say, in our own feelings of why are we reacting in that way. And I can give you some really good language to use. I covered it in the post, was it yesterday or the day before? I covered it in the post of, I think it was the day before, it was Sunday, of what you can say instead. And I've thought of a couple of more of those since I made that post. One of the ones I love saying with Harry and Olivia is, I can see you really enjoyed that. So Harry's like a cleaning fiend. He cleans everything. He's totally obsessed by it. And firstly, I show appreciation. Oh, thank you for mopping the floor. That's a big help. That really helps the community. Oh, thank you. And then he has his big smile. And so I would add something like, I can see you really enjoyed that. And then he'll add something like, oh yes, me love cleaning. He still doesn't say I, he says me to everything. It's super cute. So something like that, you can, and that's a way that engages them in conversation as well. If we say something like that, which is an appreciation, but it invites saying, oh, I can see you really enjoyed that. That invites them to use language to move forward with that conversation, to open a conversation if they want to, instead of closing them down with a well done or you're such a good boy or what have you, which obviously they're going to toddle off and be so delighted with. But what can we give them as a gift in that moment that shows our appreciation? And when I said, when I say, it looks as if you really enjoyed that, maybe he'd go into a long description about, I don't know, the way you clean the window or what have you, whatever it is. So it's inviting them to speak more. That can be a really powerful way to connect, because actually when we're seeking acknowledgement and validation and acceptance and appreciation, all of us, we do want that. We're just trying to connect, actually, whether it's a friend or partner or our children, they're just trying to connect. So how can we connect in a way that's meaningful to them? One of the things I covered in my post was something like, you shared that with Harry, or you gave that to Harry, that was really kind. So you can say factually what happened, or, you climbed up into your high chair, or, when they run in and they've managed to get dressed. Again, you can show that acknowledgement, that appreciation. You got dressed all by yourself, or something like that, or you've managed to put your shoes on, now we can leave. There's something descriptive that acknowledges what they've done, but we don't need to add a praise on the end, or a clap, or a high five, or anything like that. We can also offer specific feedback, which again invites conversation. So I don't know, our 10-year-old is playing the piano or the trumpet or something, and she's just played you something, and instead of saying, oh wow, you're such an amazing musician, you could come back with something like, I don't know, you could comment on the tempo at which she played it, or the volume at which she played it, or I can see you really enjoyed that. That's another way of doing it. Give specific feedback. So and often you see this advised in parenting books, is comment on the behaviour, not the overall person. So in the musical example, not you're such a good player, or you really play that piece of music with such feeling, or I can really feel the emotion, I can really feel the excitement in that piece of music, or whatever it might be. So it's giving specific feedback which could invite a conversation, or makes them think, actually. They may not have thought about the volume of which they play that piece of music. They may not have thought about the tempo. It gives them an opportunity to explore further. And also we're building connection, which actually shows appreciation, and you don't have to praise at all. Is something I love to do if there's a quiet moment at home, which isn't that often, but a quiet moment, or lying in bed. What Olivia and I do actually when Harry has a nap is we just lie on my bed together, and then we'll sometimes read. But the other day we just watched all the geckos. We've got lots of, because it's summer here in Dubai and really, really hot, so there's quite a few geckos inside our house. So we were just lying on my bed together watching the geckos, and so I just said that to her. I just said, I really enjoy having this quiet time with you, watching the geckos. And then from that, she then held my hand spontaneously, and I was like, oh, it's really, really gorgeous. So you can just give that appreciation. I love spending this moment with you. I love running around in the garden with you, screaming and spraying each other with water. I love holding your hand as you fall asleep. I love hearing you sing when we're in the car together. I love that you're so excited when your friends come for a play date. Any of those things, just really appreciating who they are as a person. Not that they're amazing or anything else, just appreciating them. And everyone loves to be appreciated, hey? So that was my last point. We're not praising them for us, we're just showing them appreciation, because we all love to be appreciated. Are there any more questions this evening? Let me just check, have a sip of water and check my bullet points that I haven't missed anything out. So I think that's we can do our roundup now. So praise is very much focused on what we want rather than what is best for the child. So it's good to look at examine our own feelings around that and our own reasons for wanting to praise and for going into that praise mode. Long-term research has shown that praise and rewards makes children more passive, makes them entitled, and creates a sense of entitlement, creates a passivity, and actually dumbs down creativity and I guess free thinking and problem solving, because they are just doing the minimum in order to receive the praise or the reward. Things we can do instead are appreciate literally just who they are, holding their hand, running around, playing with them, jumping on the bed, those little things. I really love it when we lie here together and hold hands. I really love it when we run around and I play hide and seek with you. Those little things that don't cost anything, or just appreciating who they are as a person. Give the factual information. If they come to you to show you that they've dressed themselves or they've done a painting, just factual information. Oh, I can see you put your shoes on. Oh, you climbed right to the top of the climbing frame. Goodness, that's really high, isn't it? Just state factually what has happened, and that shows an acknowledgement of their efforts. So that's feedback on specifics, and you can also ask questions. So a good example is with artwork. They bring a picture that they've done, a painting or a drawing, and you can say, oh, tell me about that. Your picture's really detailed. Tell me more about that. What were you thinking when you drew that bit there? So it's really, there's lots and lots of things we can say. It's just, and Adela and I talked about this in the workshop on Friday, it's getting ourselves into a different mindset of being able to just say things in a different way. Thank you for the hearts. Say things in a different way so that our knee-jerk reaction isn't the praise. And if you look back on my feed to my post on Monday, those are 5 things that you can say instead of, no, was it Monday? No, it wasn't. It was Saturday. 5 things you can say instead of praising. So that's a really good place to start. And what else did I want to say? That's everything. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. No one likes to be judged, so even if it's positive judgment or negative judgment, there's a suggestion that opinion could change. None of us like to be judged, so instead just appreciate your child's efforts instead of praise. Thank you all for joining me this evening, and I very much look forward to speaking to you all again. I'm going to continue praise this week, and I have a plan to start my YouTube channel, Enriching Environments YouTube channel, this weekend. I'm hoping to go live on my first video this weekend. So I think that's also going to be about praise, and I'm going to do this in a slightly different way, maybe just bullet points instead of my verbose explanation as per usual. But thank you all for joining me, and thank you for your questions, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye bye. Take care.